Right, so I thought I would just do a quick video to show you how I created one of the backgrounds that I used for one of my journal pages. It was in one of my long, thin journal pages. Let me just see if I can find it. I should have been prepared. Here we are. This was it. It's a loose leaf journal page, and I am eventually going to bind them into a journal, proper journal. But this is the background. Ignore the white pen work and the book pages and magazine pages. It's the background we're looking at. And it was all done with acrylic paint, various colours, and an old credit card. I've got various different sizes of credit cards and plastic cards. This is my mum's old disabled sticker. It's quite big, that's good. This is an old AA membership card. Let's see, there's a small one somewhere which is part of my old driving licence which I've cut up. I've got quite a bundle of them. So it's quite an easy technique and quite quick. So I'll just show you the process. I've got some watercolour card which is 300 GSM. It's actually from The Works, a local, well, national store in the UK. Budget craft store, I would say, and they're actually Disney card blanks. They come in a pad and you tear them off, and you're supposed to create cards with them by folding them in half and colouring. I don't do that. I use them for my loose leaf journal because they're quite sturdy for holding a reasonable amount of wet mediums. So that's 300 GSM. I've got various acrylic paints, some Daler-Rowney and some PBO. I've chosen the same colour family to work with because then I don't create mud, and I actually like a fairly sort of one colour family look to my pages. So I've got phthalo blue, Payne's grey, iridescent green blue, and cerulean blue hue. So what I'm going to do is, on my glass mat, let me get them open, I'm going to put a reasonable sized blob of each paint. Just so I've got them handy for when I want to use them. It's quite a quick process, so they shouldn't dry out. I've got 4 big paint brushes, mainly because I get the colour on quickly then. I'm going to use 1 for each colour. So I'm going to start with, we'll go for the iridescent green blue. And I'm just going to, I'm not being precise, I'm just going to go hither and thither with the paint. And I'm going to change colours again, and we'll go to the phthalo blue. Again, not being particularly sort of bothering where I'm going, I'm just randomly applying the paint. You see, I'm keeping 1 paintbrush for each colour, and as you see, they don't, when they blend, they don't go into mud. And we'll go, no, we'll leave that till the last. I'm sort of going over, and some areas will have a mix of 2 colours. I'm applying it fairly liberally because I want it still to be wet when I do the top process. We need to go in this corner. do get rather messy fingers. And I'm just basically just blathering paint on. And I think I need a little bit of darkness. I go to the Payne's Grey. So we go over the top a little bit, hither and thither with the Payne's Grey. And I don't mind that there's brush marks in here. And some of the paint that I've gone with, I've actually got the Payne's Grey onto my blue brush, but anyway, never mind. Put over there. Have a little bit more of this, I think, in the middle here. So you can see it's quite thick is the paint, but it's sort of mixing as we go, but random. Move a little bit of that up there, a bit more here. I do like this green, so we'll go more there. This is the blue, we'll have a bit more blue up here. And a bit down here. Alright, so, right, we'll go with our Payne's Grey over the top a fair bit. That darkens it down. Alright, so that's fairly random. But we've got sort of some nice brush strokes in it. You can leave the edges with less paint if you want. Get a bit more of that green going on. And a little bit of the green there. Right, now the most important thing is to work while this is still wet. And I always go in you could do swirls, I always go linear. So I place the card on the wet paint and I drag. Another place, paint it on, drag. I'll put a bit of paint on that finger and then we don't get too much of a finger mark. So you need to hang on to this edge and drag. And again, and we'll do a long one. And a little one. And then you can get rid of that paint and you can go the side and do little ones. So that you're actually petering out towards the edges. We've gone that way. So now I want to go this way as well. So I'm going to pull down here. Still in a linear fashion. And we put marks into the other wet paint. I'll go to the edge again because I want something there. Possibly here. And maybe up here. And there. So you see we're uncovering the paint underneath. So we've got all these marks. Then I'm going to go and get the edge of my credit card into some of the paint. And I'm going to go onto the paper and drag down. And onto the paper, drag down. And again. And you can, where you want your focal point to be, you can do several grouped together. So it gives more prominence to particular areas. Where you want to be petering out with your design, go with the edge of your credit card. So that's quite a nice effect. I've got reasonable amount of paint on there, quite a lot of paint on my hands. I'm going to go with my little driver's license. I think I need to move a bit of paint there. Now you see, this is why we need to do it while it's wet, because you don't move so much once it's dried. It's moving a little bit. We'll just do a little bit down there. And I think we'll go do a bit up here. We need to be down a bit. There we are. It almost looks like a cityscape. That's my thoughts. But it's entirely up how you want to interpret it. Let's see, you can go this way as well with your marks with the edge of the credit card, and you can go into a different colour. I think I'll go, just get the edge covered in this blue. It does take a little while to dry because you've got quite a lot of paint on here. It will take a while to dry. That's not a problem. I just set it aside and do something else while it's drying. I think I need something up here. I'm going to go to the top of my page and come down and go up from the corner, trying to, where I've had my thumb it's quite obvious, so I'm just, and I think I'll go in here and come down a little bit and up again. I think maybe just a little bit at this corner here. I think that's about it. Yeah, I'm quite happy with that. That's got quite a lot of interest in it, and obviously there'll be stamping and there'll be sort of elements from magazines and various other things added to that, but I'm really happy. I'm going to switch the camera off, clean the area up, use up my paint so I don't waste the paint, and then I'll show you what it's like when it's semi-dried. Right, so we're back. It's still very wet, but all I've done is clean my desk up. Hopefully you should be able to see a little bit of the detail that we've got. We've got some raised texture with the lines. We can see where the paint has stained the paper, but it only just, and we've got the lines, the brush strokes sort of showing through as well. There's quite a lot of detail in bits, so I really like that. And like, it could be that I like it this way, I can turn it round this way and put the focal point here, but I do think as I designed it this way with the focal area here and maybe some wording across there would be nice. I think I would probably stick with these colour tones, maybe some green or something like that, but I'll finish the journal page off and then I'll show you the finished sort of the finished piece. But I hope that inspires you to have a go. Hello, so I'm back. I've finished this journal page. It's an unusual format, long and thin in the landscape format, but I really like it. So I've got about 25 loose leaf journal pages finished now, so I think I'm going to bind them into a book, but I aren't quite sure on the binding method yet. But anyway, this is the finished page. You can see this is the main block where I moved the colour. I had thought I would have it this way on. It hasn't got a significant focal point apart from this area here does appear slightly lighter with the white word and the quite a lot of doodling on here. I've stamped with an indigo blue stamp in, I think I did it in black, yeah, in black, and then I've doodled round it with a white gel pen and put some square sequins and also some round sequins here and there. These were just little numbers which I'd stamped and cut out onto a jelly print. It was just a coordinating colour of jelly print, and as I say, I stamped and cut the numbers out. These are magazine clippings, a wording, because none of us can move forward if only half of us are because none of us can move forward if half of us are held back. So, and it's just got random words, but I think it works nicely. I have dug out another couple of pages which I've created using a similar technique. The last one is the one that actually sparked this video off. Somebody asked for a video on the technique, so I'll show you those as well. Pop that one to the side. This is quite a bright one. It was created using the same technique, but it isn't as dramatic. The blocks of colour aren't quite as dramatic, but you can still see there's the staining underneath where I've moved the paint underneath here. This was just a doodled and watercoloured botanical, and then I've just added some mark making here and there and some stamping as well, again with some indigo blue stamps. And these lines I just added with a ruler and a fine liner. So that's completely different colour but using the same technique. I like the brush marks as well that I've created. This was the one that actually initially started the idea for the video off, and as you can see it's got the blocks where the paint's been moved, it's got the brush strokes, it's got some of the lines applied with the edge of the credit card. Again, I've used this stamp again from indigo blue and a text stamp that I use quite a lot from indigo blue here and there. And then the focal was some magazine clippings and book pages and some just drawn with a white gel pen botanicals, leaves and swirls and tendrils. So I hope you like those, and I hope you give the technique a go.